When I first saw Psycho, I had one opinion of it. The first half sucked, and then it got good. I can't even remember why I thought like that, but I do have the foggy recollection of being really disinterested and bored, then suddenly being jolted with energy in the second half. I have to warn everyone, I'm going to have to spoil some stuff to talk about the movie, so consider this a spoiler warning. It follows a criminal on the run who has to stay the night at a roadside motel. There she encounters a certain Mr. Bates, who has a few mummy issues, and eventually it leads to her death. You want to know how repressed American moviegoers were in the 50s? Psycho is the first American film to feature a toilet, and the first to hear one being flushed. Mental. I think everyone who has even a slight interest in films knows that our main character Marion dies at the halfway point. It was a shock. Never before had this kind of thing been considered in cinema. I remember when growing up, people said the infamous shower scene never showed the knife going into her skin, it was all just in your imagination. But that's just not true. Look, right there, the knife and her skin clearly connect. This is the point that I originally believed the film turned a corner, as I wasn't too invested in her character, but nowadays I've grown in appreciation for the first half. I think I actually prefer it to the second half now. Some films are just like that. They require repeat viewings for you to truly appreciate the cinematic and narrative techniques it's exploring.
Is anything wrong?
Of course not. Am I acting as if there's something wrong?
Frankly, yes.
Please, I'd like to go.
Well, is there?
Is there what?
Marion isn't a good person. She's a selfish thief. However, she's portrayed as one. She's a kind, good-looking woman, and everyone else is portrayed in a more sinister way. Look at this cop, for instance. He seems so stoic and intimidating, but he's just doing his job. If anything, he's one of the good guys. It's so impressive how they make you want her to get away with committing robbery and running away with her boyfriend purely through how everyone else around her is depicted. Then enters Norman Bates, and yeah, this is still a terrific performance from Anthony Perkins. He's just bound with so much nervous energy, you can almost see the bliss oozing out of him as his loneliness at the hotel is over with Marion arriving. He's a phenomenal villain, and Perkins carries the second half of the movie. The film is just busting with red herrings. You think she's the main character? Dead at the halfway point. You think this money's important? It's disposed of without the character even knowing about it. You think this policeman who's tailing her ominously is going to play a big role? Never seen again. It's all designed to lead you down one way of thinking before ripping everything out from under you.
You look frightened. Have I been saying something frightening?
I don't know what you've been saying.
I've been talking about your mother, about your motel. How are you going to do it?
Do what?
Buy a new one? In a new town where you won't have to hide your mother?
Why don't you just get in your car and drive away from here, okay?
Marion is a corpse the rest of the film, and we instead follow Norman having to cover up his mother's tracks and deal with the police interference. And yeah, the second half of the film is more energized. Once Marion is killed, we see Norman race to hide any evidence, and it's genuinely intense. You're sat there wondering what the hell this guy's gonna do, and there's no dialogue, making the atmosphere more personal. Sure, he was creepy, but he seemed like just a kooky guy, and he's just trying to cover up his mother's mess, which is believable due to the scenes beforehand that showcase his way too close bond with her. This is also where the film has that trademark Hitchcock suspense come to light. There are scenes that are still legitimately scary, and one even made me jump. Everything is on a perilous tightrope as we follow an investigator and Marion's sister trying to track her down, and Norman's attempts to push them away from himself, all while the killing continues. One aspect I think is a little underappreciated is the music. We all know the famous stabbing theme, but the rest of the film soundtrack is also fantastic. It's all composed entirely of stringed instruments, nothing else, and it constantly puts you on edge whenever it jabs into your ears. There was 3 sequels, but I'm not going to go over them simply because I haven't seen them yet. Maybe one day I'll get the urge, but I'm not someone who just watches films for the sake of it. I like to be in the right mindset for them, build my excitement for the big show, and fully experience what they have to offer, and the time for the Psycho sequels just hasn't come yet. The first film though stands the test of time. It's a masterful movie that subverts all your expectations to this day and deserves its legacy. I'd recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to join the rest of us, and get ready to praise it yourself.
Mrs. Bates.